In this episode, we sit down with John Green. John's a Boston native. He talks about idolizing his dad, stepping into the family business of selling drugs, and his wildest stories running an escort referral service. Like, how much would you make a week when it was at its peak?
My God, I've had a weekend where we made 10 grand in a weekend with one client.
And so we bring you Dirty Old Boston.
I'm here today with John Green. John grew up in Somerville and Cambridge, and he has some great stories to tell us today. So, welcome to the podcast, John.
Thanks for having me. Don't expect me to bring it. This is your gig, so you got to ask me whatever it is you want to know.
All right, I'm going to hit you with the questions.
Yeah, go ahead.
So you were just saying that you had an escort service here in Boston, and it was called
Copley Square Escort Referrals.
Okay.
I'm sorry, me talking.
So how did that business work? Like, was it like Craigslist and people call in and they want a girl?
Back in those days, what we did was we would put an ad.
Yeah, was this in like the 80s?
I started this with my dad, of all people, in 1990. Okay, we stayed in the business. Well, he would be.
Did you make a lot of money doing it?
I did, but I did not do
Did you blow through
good
it?
things with the money, so it doesn't matter. But yeah, I never really made out with much money out of the business in the end.
Like, how much would you make a week when it was at its peak?
My God, I've had a weekend where we made 10 grand in a weekend with one client, and that happened at the Four Seasons Hotel.
What kind of girls did he want?
He wanted a girl that was going to party a certain way. This is
Like
what
do
this
coke
guy
and
had.
stuff like that?
Yes.
Was that a
Particularly
big request?
smoking
They
it.
wanted coke?
Yes. This is we can talk like any you know.
No,
this
we go
story.
in right here.
Okay, the guy came into town at one point when I was working for my father. My father's company was Twilight Escort Referrals. So I started in 1990 working for my father with Twilight, and by 92 I ended up opening up another place, my own, the Copley Square one, with a woman.
Did you have a falling out with your dad, or you just wanted to do your own
No,
thing?
it wasn't that. I was seeing a woman who was established in the business and knew how to, run it as well. And
Was she like a madam, or was she like?
she was kind of borderline madam. She had the ability, but she also worked as well.
Would you call them girls, or would you call them hoes? Like,
No, I had respect for people, and I always did.
Okay.
Respect for people. And I always told the women, first of all, if you come into this business and you don't know what you're doing, then you don't really belong here at this level right now.
right.
So any woman that comes, okay, this is how it worked. So you asked how it worked. Okay, so every year you would have to come up with about $12,000 to put an ad in the Yellow Pages. If you wanted to advertise in the Yellow Pages, which is where I chose to advertise, get most of my clientele from. Because they also had, back in the day, they probably still do, they had a magazine called The Phoenix. And we used to also do advertising in the adult section of The Phoenix. The clientele is more of at the end of the night, you're struck out at all the bars, and, you get hung, calling, very disrespectful, drunken kids, mostly, okay? Whereas you get clients, when you have a name like Copley Square Escort Referrals, you pop into the Copley Square Hotel and like, oh, wow, these girls got to be, where are they? They got to be around the corner, So it was a good, catchy name for the time.
How much would you charge?
The charges were ranged from $150 to $175 cash in the Boston area.
And what's $150 get me? Is that like an hour? Or that's just...
Okay, so this is the deal. You put an ad in the Yellow Pages. So the clientele with the Yellow Pages, of course, is the Copley Square. These older business guys, they just did they're here on conventions.
Could we do, like, I'm going to pretend that I'm calling in to book a girl, and you're the service, all right?
Yep.
All right, so...
Oh, yeah. I did
calling,
used to answer the phone.
You answer the phone.
Good evening. Can I help you, please, sir? Or whoever.
Hey, how you doing? Could I get a girl tonight?
Sure. Do you have a preference in, is there someone?
Yeah, could I
particular-
you got someone with like short black hair?
Okay.
I like perky tits, a little bit tall, just thin. I don't want anybody thick. I don't like fat girls at all.
Okay, sure. And I get a general idea what you're looking for. I usually used to write up I had a book, and I would have Amber, Kayla,
Yeah.
and I would have like, okay, so she's blonde, she got green eyes, she has a 36, 25, 36, whatever.
And would those girls all be spread out like around the city, and you would call them and, hey, I got somebody for you?
Yeah. They either drive themselves, they hire a driver, which I actually provided drivers as well. And some of them have their own drivers, some of them drive themselves. They're
Does
just.
the driver entail like security? Like,
Well,
make sure I
some of them are a little bit more enthusiastic about it than others, but some of them are just out to just, get you from job to job and get paid and know that the rule is, you need to know within an hour whether that girl's going to stay for another hour, be on top of what you're supposed to
So
do.
they would do a check-in with them.
Yes, and usually the check-in comes directly to the office, to me,
Okay.
or whoever's working the phones at the time. You
And
check.
they always get the money up front.
Money's up front. So you go in. So the deal is you come to a call. If you're a client from, like, say, the Four Seasons or one of the Copley hotels or something, yes. My question is, sir, where you from? I'm from Chicago. Okay, do you have a return ticket stub and a Illinois driver's license? Just, and usually I tell them it's for the women's protection, everybody, and they don't have a problem. I go as far as asking them if they have a phone number that's verifiable, not that I would call it, in your name. Okay, again, I am paid to verify calls. This is what I provide as a service, and I'm just telling you about the business. You provide a service. There's a guy, he may not have any other way to get a girl other than to pay for it. And that money right there, that might be the best spent money that he can, you know what I mean? Why is someone going to tell him he can't spend his money the way he wants, okay? Any of the girls that I had working for me were girls that came to me looking for employment. I didn't recruit anybody. That's not how the business runs on the business end of this whole industry, which is,
But would you have to keep women, like if these girls were into drugs and they were wild, how would you keep them like
you
under
read
wraps?
the ones that you get to know personalities as well, and there's a lot of different personalities that you come across in a business like this. And
Do you ever have a girl go freak out? Or
Sure, I've had all kinds
trash
of
at an
situations. The
apartment
guy I told you about, the $10,000 client. When I first started working for my father, I got a client calls in. He says, "Hey, how you doing? Hey, how you doing?" It's like late at night, well, reasonable. He says, "I'm looking for 2 girls, and I want them for the whole night." And he says, and I like to party a little bit, and I don't got to know a bunch of stuff. I'm going to have a couple of girls call you, and you discuss with them. If they're agreeable, they'll get back to me. We'll set up everything. And he was going to do it on a credit card. Fine. So everything was agreeable. They called me back. They says, "Yeah, we're all set. We're going to go." Fine. The guy's name was John, was his name, right? He had no qualms with me, giving him, $4,000 for the night. Nothing, no problem at all.
How much would you get out of the $4,000?
I think we made about. I think the girls each made like $1,500 a piece, and I made $1,000 for the night.
And did he say straight? He said they wanted to party, but you said that they wanted to
I
smoke.
didn't want to hear
coke or
about it.
whatever.
I just said, you talk to the. I'm going to have a couple of girls
so he
call
asked them
you, and
specific, do
if
you
they're
get high?
agreeing on what you got, I don't want to really know. Okay,
Yep.
I'm just making a connection here, basically. So the girls came in with my credit card slip. The next day, they says, "Listen, if that guy ever calls, we're his girls, right?" So we didn't have to do nothing. He got kind
Were
of
those chicks
he
hot?
got weird with them, like just weird. Like he would just chase them around naked, and all he had to do was wear bra and panties. And
He would be naked.
Yeah, and he of course he's fucking all zinged out. He couldn't even get it up, right? So now. This was when I worked for Twilight. So now, not long after that, within that year, or at least a year later, I opened up Copley. I'm in my spot where I'm working, and I get the call from this guy. He says, "Hey, I was in town last year, right here at the Four Seasons, and I can't remember who I called. I says, but I had a couple of girls, I had a good time. I says, I'd just like to, have the same experience.
Make it happen again.
I says, well, what's your name? I says, oh, John. I says, John, man. I says, I sent you Jamie and Nicole, the blonde and the brunette. Yeah, that's them. I'm like, yeah. And I told him everything that went on. He was like, you are the guy. I'm like, I am the guy that sent you the girls. I know I am. There ain't no other John that's going to ever call me again. So anyways, I'm dating this girl, right? And I just start seeing her. And she's already doing this stuff, right? And it's like, well, you got to date the people that you work with, right?
Did it ever bother you if you worked with a girl and she worked?
Sometimes. If I got really attached to, and I did kind of way, and I got her out of that. We didn't, after a while, she did stop doing that. But I says, listen, and she was cute, like you, like the tall, thin, dark hair.
Oh, I thought you meant she looked like me.
No.
What the fuck?
Like you, she looked like this girl right here, very beautiful like her. So anyways, I says, listen, John, and I knew, and he liked the party too. I says, John, I will shut my business down to everybody else, and I will be at your beck and call. He says, I want a girl for the whole weekend.
Wow.
I says, I will fucking
Jump
work.
in the mic.
I will work for you all weekend. You just, I'll go to the liquor store for you. I'll go, dude, I went to crack houses for this guy, right?
Where were the crack houses?
I had to go to Lynn. So I go to Lynn, right? I go out to Lynn. I says, yeah, it's $40 a rock. It was 20, right? So I just made like $600 off him right there, right? He had no kid. So I get back. We didn't even do the credit card yet, right? So I get back. I left the girl there. So, this is the girl, you liked her, right? So now I'm gone. He had her on a little, almost like one of those Easter egg hunts. Yeah. Where he put $100 bills on the floor everywhere so she could crawl around on the floor, look at it, and got every single one of them. Oh, there's another one. There's like 16 of them. So I already had 600 from him. She got another 1,600. Now we're going to get down to doing the credit card business, right? Okay. So now he says, I don't know, like about $8,000. You're the boss. I'm okay. It's not like, I would never be undisrespectful to anybody, and I would be fair in a business like that. Do you think? Sure, if I was introducing the money to the situation, yeah, I want to cut. Like with those girls, I made it was $4,000. I made $1,000 out of it. They got to split $1,500 apiece. Probably made cash on the side as well. I know these girls.
Right.
I know these girls.
So do you think with the new casino opening in Everett that escort business is going to really go up again? It absolutely is going to be a demand, right?
So this is, about the escort service business again. Now, many years later, I went away. I went to prison. I did it all for this business.
You went to prison?
I went to prison.
What did you go to prison for?
Uh-huh.
What did you go to jail for?
I went to jail for deriving funds from prostitution and all that stuff on the state side. And then I had to go do federal time for interstate commerce charge, which is basically, I was in a sting operation involving the feds. No. But the credit card company, they were very impressed with the business I did with John.
Yeah.
So the company came to me. They were called Tejas Financial Services, and they called me. I'm losing a lot of business because I couldn't take credit cards. The credit card companies wouldn't touch me.
Right.
This guy calls me. He says, we're out of Dallas, Texas. We're opening up a credit card company. We just opened up a credit card company, me and my partner. My name is Scott Manning. And we're just looking for accounts, and we know that there's a lot of problems with the escort service business, and we're zooming in on a lot of people can't do business, and we're helping you out, and we're going to charge you 12%. And I agreed. I says, what the hell? I says, well, I'll just do what everybody else does. Charge the clients a little extra on the credit card.
Right.
I'll make it up there. Unbeknownst, I didn't realize that it was an IRS sting operation that was going on for 2 years with me. Once I went into business with them,
so
I agreed. Tejas Financial
FBI
Services was an IRS sting operation.
Gotcha.
So now I'm doing business. I introduced them to people that I know in the business, maybe 7 services that I knew. They were telling me, we'll give you a little something or whatever. We'll do something. We'll make out some kind of a deal. I said, okay, fine. and I'll introduce you to some people. And I did. And, like after a year or so, or a year and a half into doing business, I mean, I started seeing a lot of the money wasn't adding up, and I would be doing the math, I'd call the guy. I call the guy up a few times. What's going on? Disputes, credit card disputes, And I says, well, he wasn't telling me. I says, well, and I knew when I worked for my father was incorporated. He had LST Limited. He did everything legal. My father, and they couldn't touch my father. They approached my father first. He says, well, I don't need you guys. I'm already doing my own thing here with my credit card box. I don't need you, right? My father gave him my phone number. Didn't know, but what happened. I'll hook you up with my son. He could use you, So now I start hooking them up, my friends up, and we're all doing business. And I start getting these disputes, and not getting disputes, but not getting the same amount what I'm figuring out I should get, and minus 12%. I mean, I know how to do math.
And did they just kick the door down one day?
So the guy says to me, "Let me get to my partner. We'll figure it out." I caught an IRS. Basically, I caught the IRS agent embezzling money from my company. Okay, he was telling me, he was giving me I says, I want proof of the disputes. Back in those days, and I don't know anything about computers, but I've seen what dispute slips look like. And my father had them coming in legally. They have a stamp on the top. Whatever credit card the client used, and if he's going to dispute it, I'll get an official document from the company. This guy's sending me some kind of a printout from a computer. Hey, it had dates, amounts, credit card numbers, but no names. I kept a log of my business, so I would go to the date, and then I would go over to the credit card number. I would match it up with my clients, the clients that supposedly disputed. So one of the clients is a client that I've had for a long time from South Boston, a guy named Jake Burke. And Jake Burke had problems with girls. And I was the kind of guy that would, when you called me and says, "John, I just had this girl came, she stayed 20 minutes,
But what's the real problem though? Like they didn't do what
yeah,
he
they want to come in
or-
there. They don't want to do what he wants them to do.
Was he into a specific thing, or was he just?
He wants a decent date. He wants what the girls know. I mean, what most clients want. You know what I mean?
But did you have guys rough girls up and things like that?
I've had situations where
Is it
guys,
common or not that?
Huh?
Is it common or not that common?
No, it was not that common. But
Would
yeah,
you do anything to the guys, or they just get out of there and leave?
You mean do what? Do what I?
No, because you said something. They'd have a driver. They have like a security.
Yeah. Did I have any bad situations with drivers getting involved? And I've had girls that were really scared and called the guys. Just did some crazy things. One guy was just doing the cocaine again, and one girl just wasn't into it. So take your clothes up. Shh. Looking out windows, take your clothes up, put them back on, put your clothes up. So she's like, "What, John? This guy's driving me crazy. I gotta go."
Take them off, put them on.
Oh, he was like, This guy Rick, right, would call me. He was a merchant marine. He lived up in Newburyport, and he would call Amesbury. He would call me, and he'd be like, John, hey, can you set me up a girl? I wanted to come up the side stairs of my condo. My wife, she does take sedatives, but I just wanted to. He wants you to have the illusion that he has a wife.
But he didn't even have one?
I found out a couple of years later that he would call my service.
Wow.
To send a girl over that was like this, sneaking around, and then he would hire another girl from another agency to play his wife. Wow. And the reason why I found this one out is because the girl that played his wife came to my office one day looking for a job, and we started discussing client. Oh, do you know so-and-so? I says, hey, do you know a guy named Rick? Do you know how long I've been playing Rick's wife? I'm like, you
that's
gotta be
crazy.
shitting me. Oh, God.
So growing up, what was it? Just
growing
neighborhood
up,
kids? Was it?
We had a gang of us driving around like Jackson Street, Dudley Street, and then I ended up moving from there to the end of the street was Ringe Ave. not far from here.
Yeah, right around the corner.
And Ringe Ave, and then across the street from Jackson Street and Ringe Ave was a project, housing project called Jefferson Park. And I moved there. We lived there for like 3 or 4 years, and then my mother moved to Vermont. And his mother came up and stayed with us one summer.
And your dad was kind of up to bad news. What was the...
Up to bad news?
Well, you know what I mean, like...
My dad was the best dude, man. He was a great provider and all that. But yeah, my dad was probably...
He was on the shadier side.
Criminal list. But my dad was always very well loved by my grandparents, my mother's parents.
Really?
Oh, my
Auntie
God.
Flo?
My father and my grandmother, I think, had a crush on my dad. She loved my dad so much.
Yeah.
And my grandfather adored my father as well. And he used to bring him to the Portuguese restaurant that's still in Inman Square called the Casa Portugal.
Yeah.
Okay, my place has been there since when my father was not this big, but probably was. But my grandfather would take him when he was a young man and starting to date my mother. They really liked my father. You know,
Wow.
He was a hard worker back then. My father's always been whatever my father did, he did it all very vigorously. My father was a vigorous gangster. That's what he ended up, you know. And he did his job. He did it very well. He liked to. He was very
Was he a tough guy?
Confrontational person. He liked that kind of stuff.
Did you know that your dad was like a little connected? Then?
I was all over it, believe me. My ear was to the, oh, God, yeah. I wanted to know everything about it.
So when did you sort of start getting in the mix a little bit?
There was a big marijuana smuggler in the region that used to have a fish company down the South Shore. We used to go down there, and that's where he would pick up his truckloads. My father had a barn up in Marlboro, and that's where that would go. Father had a couple of losers, Nicky and this guy Richie there. I think that they were all geeked out, you know, on the shit. They're driving around. They lost the directions. They couldn't find this place, but they knew where I lived, in Littleton. So they come with a U-Haul truck. Come to my house, you know, all weirded out, and Johnny, where's your father? And I'm like, he's not home. You know, oh, you got to open up the garage. We got to unload. They unload a truckload of marijuana. So much marijuana that my father wouldn't notice if I filled up a little trash bag, which I did, okay? I'm like a good 4 or 5 pounds of pot.
Yeah.
Okay? I call up my friend Doug. I says, Doug, come get me. Okay, get in the car, go to this place we used to hang out called Skull Rock. I think I'm the biggest guy in the world, man. I'm thinking hanging out ounces to my buddies and stuff. And, you know, a couple of my friends going down, hanging out behind Little Peach like we used to do and smoke pot. Who comes around? Officer Casey. Rounds up all the kids.
Everybody's got an ounce.
Officer Day, get over here. Where'd you get all this stuff, you kids? Where'd you get all this stuff? We're going to tell your parents. John Green.
Oh,
No,
no.
my father's out on parole. Like, in other words, they didn't tell him how long he was going to be on parole. Back in those days, they could do that. So now the cops are questioning these kids. My friend John Green, he has this big bag of it. He stashed it out by Skull Rock in the woods. But they all out there running around, a couple of cops, they find it. Big bag of pot. They come to my house. Now my father knows, he's back home now. I'm home again. Knows that the pot's in the garage. He's fucking fuming because these 2 retards drop it off at the house. So now we get a knock at the door. It's the cops. My father's like, oh, I'm going to jail. I'm going back to prison. And I'm going to go for a long time.
Did you tell him what was going on, or you didn't know what was happening?
No. So they come to the house, and I'm like, oh, fuck.
And he still has all the
I didn't know either what was going on.
Does he
because I
still
didn't
have
know
the
that
1,000 pounds?
You were in the garage still.
Oh,
so now,
Jesus.
right? My father comes to the door. He's like, you know, what's up? They're like, we're looking. You know, we have a large quantity of marijuana that we was told belonged to your son, John. And my father's like looking at the bag they have it, and my father's like, my kid's in the 8th grade. You know, I mean, they already know my father. Trust me. A few years before, the feds had come to my town, the police, and says, we're surveilling a big major drug dealer here. We're just letting you know that we're going to be sitting in a car somewhere in case your guys see our guys. You know what I mean? We're just going to give you a heads up that we're in your town. Following Al Capone, right? Or whoever that's how they were treating the situation like. They were well aware of who my father was and what my father did. They probably already concluded in their minds that the pot probably came from my father. So they were kind of like a small-time cops that kind of like thought that my father was probably a lot bigger than he was or whatever. So they were pretty, careful around him. And he says, yeah, they said, Mike, we just want to get to the bottom of the story. Can we have him come down to the station? Sure. Can I drive him? Yes. So I'm in the car with my father. You little motherfucker, you.
He must have wanted to strangle you.
Fuck. He says, John, okay. My father thought real quick. There was a I don't know what they were, a crew of people that lived up the street. And they were kind of like a biker kind of crew.
Yeah.
Okay, and they were always having live music in the yard in the summer. And, all big bash going on. And they were all pot smoking, the whole deal. My father says, John, listen carefully. Your life depends on him. My life depends on it. Anyways, he says, you're going to say, when you go in there, I want you to tell them that you were in the backyard. They had a shed. You went in the shed, and you just happened to stumble across a barrel, and it had the pot in it, That's what you're going to stick with that story. Keep it simple. You found the pot in a barrel inside the shed of those people down there. I went with that story. Meanwhile, while I'm getting interviewed, my father, you get the fuck back to my house and get that shit out of my house. The interview with me went okay. My father got out of that. We got out of it. I got smacked. But, of course, my father came back later on, took the blame. I shouldn't have had this around. This is my fault. So I got a call. I don't know why the dog came up in a conversation with a client, but the client wanted to meet Rock.
And he said, you have a dog, bring the dog?
My dog made $100 on the job. I swear to God. I said, I want a motherfucking $100 for my dog.
Really?
Oh, yeah. That guy molested my dog.
Did he fuck it?
He sucked my dog's dick. I wasn't there.
Yeah. How do you know he did that?
Because the girl that I was
so the
with
girl
was
was
there.
with them.
Now I'm dating this girl, right? And I get a call. It's out in Fitchburg. It's a couples call. No, I've never done that before either. So now I get this call. Now she gets the call, the girl, this girl I'm dating. She says, John, if I can do this, you can do this. She says, there's a couples call and requesting a good-looking guy. All right, fine. So she had just bought me this new outfit. Like the box, whatever, dress me the way she wanted to dress me, whatever. So I get all dressed up. I get out there. I'm late, right? It's a condo complex out in Fitchburg. I finally get there. Guy answers the phone in a terry cloth bathrobe. A good-looking guy, decent-looking guy, normal-looking guy. And he's politely telling me that, they got to get up early, and I was late, and that he was going to offer me some money to drive out there. And he invited me in. So now I'm talking to him, and he's, trying to be nice. And apparently his wife's behind me. She's smoking. And I mean, wow. I'm thinking I'm not going to stay, right? So he's looking like this behind my shoulder at his wife.
Yeah.
She's signaling him. We need to have a meeting in the kitchen. Okay, fine. Can you give me a minute? I got to go talk to my wife. She said, he comes back up. He says, well, apparently Paige would like you to stay. Wow, okay. So I stay. Yeah, things got a little wild. I was a little, I don't know, I was uncomfortable at first because I never did it before, but they seem like they've done it before.
Yeah.
And it should have been like the other way around. Like I should have been the experienced one,
Right, you're the pro.
Just relax. Just go, you know what I mean? But it wasn't that way at all. It was like, wow, they went,
Is he involved or he just watches?
You want to hear?
Yeah.
Paige takes her bathrobe off. She's wearing this beautiful bra, like you can see her nipples, and I'm like, wow.
So she's
great. Hot, right?
Yeah.
He takes his bar. He's got a woody. She gets on her knees and starts sucking his dick, right? Now, and I'm just standing there, and she's like, she takes her mouth off his dick, and she says, well, take your clothes off. And I'm like, watching this hot
And
woman
you're
telling
into
me
this.
to take my clothes off. I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah. We looked like we were joined at the hip, him and I, and she was going at it. I was like, wow.
Okay.
So, and then,
I don't know. And then
after, the,
did she say like you gotta fuck me or
I did. And what was this? We're going back.
Did you bang her
Don't
at the same
forget now.
time?
I'm going back to 1993.
Okay.
Okay, so yes,
you remember this story.
Oh, yeah.
Don't give me that. You
Yeah.
know every minute of that.
He wanted, we ended up doing it, her and I.
The guy didn't try to blow you or anything, right?
No. Okay.
So she says you have to fuck. So then you do it in front of the guy.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But is she like blowing him while you fuck her or anything?
Yeah. She was blowing him, and it was just kind of a little uncomfortable because I was a little too close to him. Like,
Yeah.
I was like, I just felt weird. Like, But yeah, no, it was fine, and they were perfectly normal people. They were like,
Oh yeah.
they were cool, wicked
Yeah.
cool. It was like we just wanted to, this is what we want to do,
Right.
And we want to pay. There was one night I'm up. Oh Christ, I'm answering the phones. I was pretty fresh in the business. I was working for my father's service at the time, Twilight. I get a call late at night. It's a woman. She's lonely, I guess. She's bored, whatever she's doing at night. And her husband's, I find out, is a guy who just is an older gentleman who travels or whatever in business. So I'm just in the middle of the night talking with this woman, and one thing leads to another. So we're talking, and she was, I'm answering her questions about what do you, what's, and I tell her, people meet, and then, you pay to have an escort come.
Is she nervous? Is she like?
She's just
She
kind of.
wants
She acts
to
like
do it, but
she's
yeah.
she's curious.
Oh, this was the wrong number. Yeah.
And I think she's just kind of like, huh?
Trying to kind of have phone sex a little bit.
There you go. Exactly. So now her and I start talking, and then the subject gets to, well, what do you look like? And and what do you? So she was like, I like it. This was when I was fresh out of the Marine. I must have been about 29, I guess. And she was like closer to 40.
Yeah.
Right? Very attractive, though. So I didn't know that time. But we must have been on the phone for a good hour and a half, maybe.
And you're just killing
Conversation
time.
went
You're
to like, what are you doing? She got her toys out. She's saying, I'm jerking off and the whole deal, right? So she says, it's it was late, but I'd like to see you. Whatever. I forgot about it because
Yeah.
that night was over, and it was like. So a couple of nights later, one of the guys that worked the phone, another one of the guys worked the phones for my father, calls me and he says, John, there's a girl. She keeps calling, asking about you. And she was keep calling. And so I was kind of like, well, Jack, have her come down and interview. I thought it was maybe someone wanted to, No, she's asking specifically for you. Woman, did you talk to some woman the other night? Oh, shit. Yeah. Hey, what's her phone number? I remember now. I know. It's this girl, this woman. So I call her up and we start talking. She says, I've been thinking about, I talked the other night. And she says, I'd like you to come over. All right, cool. I end up going over there. Dude, she was hot. She was one of these women that doesn't have to do anything. Goes tanning and working out and does her nails and just, doesn't know what. She's bored. She's bored.
Yeah.
Doesn't work. Doesn't do anything.
Desperate housewife.
Living in a beautiful house, and dude, we watched pornography, had sex. So she pays me, right? I feel guilty to take this money. I feel like I should be paying you, right? So she pays me. She says, after the hour was up, I says, you gonna leave? I'll pay you another. You ain't gonna pay me. No, I'll stay for the rest of the night. So she feeding me Chinese food and oh my
Taking
God.
care of you. She just wanted a boyfriend.
Yeah,
Right? She missed.
I stayed the whole night. I had to leave. She's the only reason why she wanted me to leave. Because the sun's going to come up and people are going to, I don't want the neighbors to, I was like,
Yeah.
okay, cool. But yeah, that was fun.
Did you ever get to see her again?
No,
Wow.
no,
Did you ever try to call her again?
no. That was one thing.
Is that one of the rules? Like you can never call.
Yeah, not And I wanted to get to something else covered about the end of my drug use was, I had a lot of legal issues.
Yeah.
I had federal agents. I'm got the trouble's coming. We got arrested for the interstate commerce. I don't know if I got into any of that.
Yeah. Do you think that's because you were getting sloppy because of the drugs and all that?
No, I just they were trying to they were trying to create a crime, make a bust.
Do you think it helped you ultimately?
What? Oh,
the bust because.
Oh my God. Okay, so I didn't get clean from drugs for a few years after the original bust, but when I ended up, I was on probation with the state. They called me and says, federal agents want to interview you. It's just an interview. Come on. And I was back to doing drugs. I ran. I didn't want to, I got into living in hotels. And I can remember one night, I'm waiting for one of my drivers to come by, David, pick me up, and I was going to get some drug, some heroin, and I was sick. And I just remember being in a hotel up on Malden, the Colonial. I think it was called the Colonial up in Malden. And I just remember walking by a mirror, and I was I was fucked up bad. And I just remember looking in the mirror and just saying, "Oh God, I need to stop this.
Yeah.
I need help me. And I'm not a religious person, believe me, I'm not. But when you're down and out, and I do believe in God. I believe in a God. Maybe not believe in all the little religious stories that go along with, all that religious crap, but I believe in a higher power. We'll go with that. I see myself, how sick I looked, how bad I looked. And I always was kind of guy growing up that liked to stay in shape, liked to look good, liked to, take care of myself, physically and stuff. It just wasn't my lifestyle. I just got stuck behind a bad drug.
It happens to a lot of people.
Yes. So, David comes, my driver, with his girlfriend. We're over by Auntie Mel's house, coming off of Route 16, taking a left onto Winthrop Street, where off of what she lives on. Illegal left turn. The girl takes the illegal left turn. We get pulled over. I got a needle in the back seat with me. The girl doesn't have a license. That's the beginning of the problem. Now he gets the flashlight in my eyes. Now I look exactly like what I am, a fucking junk bomb. Comes around the back side of the car. I take the needles, I put them between the seat and the door. He opens up the door, they fall. Oh. Okay? So now, listen to this. So now, I get arrested. The lawyer comes to the holding cell the next day. I'm sick as a dog. Well, these are the choices that you have. You can go over here to the Cambridge, Middlesex County Jail upstairs above the courthouse for 10 days, come back in front of the judge, plead your case, whatever, or you can go to Bridgewater Addiction Center. Basically, you're court ordered there. You can't go. You're an inmate, pretty much. It's a 30-day drug program. So here I am, sick as a dog, going through this system. And I'm like, God, how could you do this to me? How could you do this to me? I don't sleep for like 3 weeks. I'm not eating. You go through these stages of delirium because you can't really sleep. You want to tear your skin off. It's a horrible thing to go through. And a lot of other people are going through it.
Yeah.
After 3 weeks, I start feeling a little bad. I'm getting a little sleep. My appetite's coming back, And I think that was truly the way to go through, is to really be hurt. I get there, they give me a clonidine and a trazodone the night I get there. I get a little sleep. The next day I go see the doctor, he says, "Oh, you're all clear to detox. You can go to GWAT." And I'm like, hold on a second. What? All clear to detox? What do you mean by that? You're done detoxing. I just got here last night. You're done. All right? Cold turkey. I did it cold turkey.
You think because it was so hard?
Oh my God!
I'm never doing that.
Never did it again. Never, ever again. Right? It was funny when I finally got to thinking about it. In the end, when I finally got through the ass end of it, I says, you know what? God works in mysterious ways. Okay? You asked for me to help you. Please, God, help me. And that's how I'm going to help you. I'm going to make you feel you never want to do this again. And that's how I'm going to help you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?